was back talking to the warden.
Oh, okay. Okay, so we're going to call the meeting to order. Let's stand for the flag salute and then prayer by the clerk. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Father, help us to be receptive to the thoughts and challenges that come to us through prayer, through the printed page, and from the world around us, and help our leaders to find the best solutions to the problems that we face. We ask this in your name. Amen. In compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act, this is to announce that adequate notice of this meeting has been provided. Also pursuant to the 2014 Rules and Resolutions of the Board of Children Freeholders of the County of Burlington, time shall be set aside on the agenda for the receipt of public comments. Public comments will be received with respect to agenda items prior to board consideration of resolutions to be adopted. An additional opportunity for public comment will occur later in the meeting. Public comments shall be limited to 5 minutes per speaker. Unused times may not be transferred to another speaker. Persons may speak once per public comment period. I direct the Deputy Clerk to enter into the minutes of this meeting, this public announcement, and the advance written notice of this meeting. Freeholder Bellegarde.
Here.
Freeholder Howard.
Here.
Freeholder Schwartz.
Here.
Freeholder Donnelly.
Here.
And Director Arter.
Here. At this time, I'll entertain a motion for the approval minutes of the conference meeting of December 11th, 2013.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Abstain.
Okay. At this time, we have a presentation of a flag from former Joint Base Commander. That Deputy Director Donnelly.
I'm not deputy. I got demoted
Oh
completely
my
down. I'm
gosh! I tried to give him a promotion and he denies it.
I represent that fact.
Yeah.
Should make him deputy director.
You're deputy. If you would just introduce, this is Mr. Russ Wren of the Burlington County Military Affairs Committee and Ms. Lisa Post.
Director, and Russ is also on our executive board.
Everything.
Everything.
Both of you have met the now General Hierarchy is here as a colonel. Very briefly, let me give you a little bit of the background. He graduated from the Academy back in 1987 and came through many various assignments. In October of 2007, he came here as the base commander in air mobility Mortar Wing Commander. After that, he went to the assistant to four-star admiral in the Pacific, for Air Force guy. He worked for a year for a man making the news today, Secretary Gates. We had the pleasure to go there, and it was at Penn. He worked a year for a recruiter and various other things, now culminating with a year in Kabul, Afghanistan. He sends this very brief message and asked me to read it. He says, I'd like to say what I could just to add my thanks for the tremendous support that you have shown the soldiers, airmen, sailors, Marine, and Coast Guard people in New Jersey. I mean Burlington County. I've served with them all, to be not more proud of the tradition and honor that BMAC renders these wonderful young Americans. Important time in our history. The next big challenge will be the transition of many of these veterans into the private sector. I know BMAC will help with that in the New Jersey, Pennsylvania community. As commander of the 3-Star Joint Task Force, I am pleased to raise this flag in your honor. My best to all. This flag flew over Camp Phoenix in Afghanistan on 9/11 last year, in honor of 9/11 for the attack on the United States. He asked that we present this to freeholders, the people of Burlington County, to go into the trophy case where Mr. Tate is sitting. I may, very briefly, I did have the opportunity as a member of the board to work with General IR when he was commanding the Joint Base. When I think she was Colonel IR at the Right, time.
correct.
Go back a few weeks now. His commitment to the success of the newly formed Joint Base was absolutely extraordinary. And I think Russ and Lisa would agree with me, his outreach into the community was extraordinary also. He really exemplified what it means to take the walls down around the base and bring a community together. So on behalf of my colleagues on the Freeholder board, and we will get a letter out to General IR, it is our privilege to accept this flag. Walt, I'm going to ask that you take this. I don't know about a trophy case, but I think the more appropriate place would be on the wall in your office.
Oh, all right then.
How many trophies do you have over there, Walt? I was thinking about it.
Not enough.
He'll go back and count. Okay, at this time, we open up public comment on agenda items. At this time, if there is any member of the public who wishes to speak regarding any agenda items, please step forward and remember to state your name and address for the record. Okay. Is that?
I'm looking at her working the camera.
Oh, yeah. All right, seeing none, we'll move on to resolutions. At this time, resolutions on behalf of myself are resolutions 1 through 5. At this time, I move resolutions 1 through 5 to be adopted as consent agenda items.
Second.
Freeholder Director, I'd like to move to have item number 3 removed from the consent agenda.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor of removing number 3 from the consent agenda?
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions? Okay, so at this time, we'll vote on items 1, 2, 4, and 5, and then return to item number 3. So it has been seconded. Is there any discussion on items 1, 2, 4, and 5? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, and now returning to resolution number 3, Freeholder Schwartz.
Yes, I have a concern in regards to the firms that we're using. I'm not sure that we are going with the firm that will give us the best price. One of the things that Freeholder has rightly charged us with for this coming year is to save money for our residents on taxes, and I'm concerned about the extent of the legal bills that we've seen, at least that we've all seen over the past year, and I feel that there are other firms out there who are also qualified who could possibly do the work cheaper.
Any further discussion?
Maybe cheaper is not a good word. With more savings to the county, we could pass on to our taxpayers.
Director Freeholder Schwartz, this is, I think I briefly spoke on it last meeting. This was an RFQ process. This was advertised in the papers provided by statute. It was also posted on our county website. It was exposed on the county website, I believe, for 25 days. It was a significant period of time. I don't recall that anybody contacted me with any questions in regard to the RFQ. Submissions were received, and we've already submitted to you a memo outlining the submissions received, the folks who submitted, and a memorandum outlining the recommendations. If there's any specific questions, I believe that in most cases that the fees which were quoted and recommended were the lower of the group of fees. The bond fees were quoted a little differently, but at the same time, those fees were reasonable based on our experience. The other thing is that based on our experience with the firms involved, and a number of different firms involved, 4 or 5 different firms involved, it appeared to us reviewing the submission that the folks that we had doing the work for us were experienced, experienced on the county level, experienced in the type of matters that we were dealing with, and were qualified to do the work. And that was the basis of the recommendations that we gave to the board, which you already had a chance to take a look at.
And I know we just discussed this in the past, but again, I'm looking to see if we can find more ways to save our taxpayers more money, and I think this is an area that we need to continuously look at.
And I would just note that I had previously made some comments at our meeting on December 27th. I don't feel the need to reiterate them at this point.
Any further discussion?
Yeah, just one. So you feel, Freeholders Schwartz, we should go with the lowest bidder?
No, I feel we should go with the person who can best meet our needs, but I think that the fees that we're getting charged need to be looked at, and that we should be able to get a reduction in the fees that we're being charged.
I have no further comment. I know the fees were looked at already.
Okay, any further comment? Okay, at this time, we'll call the vote for item number 3. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Opposed?
Abstentions? All right, 3 passes, and we'll move on to resolutions proposed on behalf of Freeholder Donnelly.
Thank you, Director. At this time, I move for adoption of resolution number 6.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll have a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, at this time, resolutions proposed on behalf of Deputy Director Howarth.
Thank you, Director. At this time, I would like to move resolutions number 7, 8, 9, and 10.
I'll second that.
Okay, any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, opposed, abstentions? Okay, at this time, we have need for a nomination election to the Library Commission for a term that needs to be re-upped.
Director, at this time, I'd like to move into consideration the name of Joanne Troso for a 5-year appointment.
Any other nominations? Hearing no other nominations, we will close the nominations and have a roll call vote.
Freeholder Belgard.
Joanne Troso?
Freeholder Howard.
Joanne Troso.
Freeholder Schwartz.
Joanne Troso?
Freeholder Donnelly.
Joanne Troso.
And Director Arden.
Joanne Troso. Okay, at this time, there are some director appointments to be made to the Solid Waste Advisory Council. They will, there are quite a few of them. We'll read through them. The first being mayor or mayor designee for the Township of Florence, mayor or the mayor's designee for the Township of Mansfield. Environmentalists are William Matuzelik and John Butler. Solid waste collector, Becky Casper. Solid waste disposal, Mike Murphy. Sludge disposal, Owen Sheehan. POTW operators, Pamela Caroline. Soil Conservation District, Robert Reitmeyer. Municipal Recycling Coordinator, Tom Scholl. Agriculture, David Specca. Private Citizen, John Pinto. Tri-County Water Quality, Gina Berg. County Departments, Mr. Brickley or designee from the Department of Engineering. Eve Cullinan or designee from the Health Department. Mary Pat Robbie or designee from Resource Conservation. And at this time, there also exists a need for director appointments to the Community Development General Advisory Committee. I will read the name and the area of representation. Linda Cushing, Office on Aging. Anna Pianzo, Human Services. Daniel J. Caldwell, Workforce Investment Board. Kelly West, One Stop Career Center. Joseph T. Brickley, Planning Board. Canilla Xavier, Community Action Program. Linda Doherty, Municipal Managers Administration. Matthew A. Riley, Housing Industry. Kevin Brown, Labor Union. Derek Benz, Financial Institutions. Matthew Johnson, Environmental. Carol Maramo, Real Estate. And citizens at large are Madeline Sheldon, Christopher L. Baxter, Robert E. Schmidt, Kathleen Wiesel, Albert Jacoby Sr. Okay, at this time, are there any questions from the press? At this time, we open up the floor for public comment, and please remember as you come forward to state your name and address for the record. Okay, seeing no one moving forward, we'll close the public comment period, and we'll move on to comments by freeholders. Freeholder Schwartz?
Yes, I wanted to thank new title, Director of Freeholder Order, for the opportunity to be involved in the budget process. Over the next few weeks, I will be meeting with the warden and any of his staff that he feels I should meet with, as well as Eve Cullinan, to review the budget so that I can come back and give my recommendations to the board at the end of this month. But I do pledge that there will be no layoffs in any of the departments that I'm overseeing. And that's my comments.
Thank you. Freeholder Belvoir?
Yes, thank you very much. So I just wanted to address an email that I received, and I think I forwarded a copy to to everyone, but I know we can't discuss via email, so I just wanted to bring it to everyone's attention. With regard to the lease of farm property on county property, lease of farms on county property, there seems to be some concern, and I think I had even sort of questioned about this when we were going out through the RFP process, that I was concerned about.
That's a bid.
A bid, sorry. Yeah, when we're going out to bid, RFP wouldn't make sense. That I was a little bit concerned about the longevity of farmers and folks that had farmed the property and sort of brought it up to snuff over time, and what was going to happen to farmers. And the email that I received seemed to address those same concerns that I had initially expressed. So I just wanted to make sure that as we go forward with this process, that we are giving consideration to and maybe having some sort of qualification considerations in the review process, especially because farmers are the pride and joy of our, one of the prides and joys of our county, and I really want to make sure that we're not losing good farmers here in the county, especially farmers that have worked hard on property for years and really made it into something to then potentially hand it off to somebody else who comes in with a higher bid. So I think that's something we really have to consider, and I hope that we will.
I'd just like to comment further on that. I don't know, I know we got a legal opinion about why it has to be like that, but when we were out this summer with Mary Pat and we went out and saw the cranberry bogs, farmers emphasized to us that they can't get a bid on a piece of property or land for like 1 year or a short period of time, because at least as far as the cranberry bogs, I think some of the investment is like 20 years till you see a harvest, and that can cause a great hardship. You're going to invest all your money and effort in the property, and then next year somebody's going to outbid you and reap all of your work, and that's a significant issue. But I understand that there are legal constraints.
Yeah.
I don't know how we can work through this, but we need to protect our farmers. Is there any way of preventing this, or we're
I
bound?
think you're going to be seeing a memo with regard to the farms which were dealt with at the most recent round for your review, and possibly when you see that, it will provide a catalyst for discussion in an overall context. There are statutes that talk about the use of county assets having to be exposed to the highest bidder. We can certainly look at it to see what the time limitations are, because normally that is by statute also. And long-term relationships like that in terms of a bid situation normally don't tend to exist. I'm talking in general now. We need to look specifically at this kind of an issue, and it may be something the legislature has to address. Without looking at it, I don't have the statute in front of me. I'd rather take a look at it and discuss it with you further in conference, and then based on those discussions in public, after we've all had a chance to take a look at it.
Thank you.
Yeah, that would be great. I just wanted to bring it to everybody's attention, so thank you.
Freeholder Donovan?
Thank you. In principle, I suppose I agree with freeholders Belgard and Schwartz, but in practicality, we are obligated to follow the statute, and I did have the time to look at the statute. And I had some significant conversation with Mary Pat. I am convinced that we are following the law as it is currently written. Again, as I have done before, I would encourage members of the board to lobby the legislature to change the statute to accommodate this type of situation. But this board is acting in the best interest And as we're sitting here talking about savings to the taxpayers and things like that, this is additional revenue generation to the taxpayers in the county, as this is county-owned land. So I'm sure we're mindful of that as well. It's always a difficult situation, and we don't even know what the outcome, I don't know anyway, what the outcome of the bid will be. But the hope is that, in fact, the local farmer would stay on the site, though that's determined by the market and by statute at this point in time.
Being new to the board, how did we deal with this in the past? This statute, I assume, has been on the, again, it's
We
been
bid
here.
farms.
So we've always had bidding, and if somebody, have people been outbid and lost all their investment?
Sure.
That's an issue, that's a problem. Mary Pat?
Yes, we all have always bid out farm leases, but the farm leases that we're bidding out are very different than what we saw at White Spa. Because with cranberry farming, there's a bigger investment in the land. And these are just field crops, so it's you plant your crop, you take it off. The one issue that Mr. Wainwright had is that if he knew he was getting the land again next year, he would plant the crop and then harvest it early next year. But since he couldn't be sure, he really lost that opportunity for a growing season. But we really racked our brains to try to see how we could address that, and we have not found a way. We have been in discussion with the Department of Agriculture and New Jersey Farm Bureau. They have prepared a guidance document for private landowners that wish to lease their property to farmers to farm. We're going to recommend that they do the same for public entities, that there be a guidance document that looks at the existing law and make sure that it's applied evenly across the board, because there are certain differences, different municipalities deal with it differently, and different counties, and the farmers all come to us saying, well, they did it over there, why can't we do it here? So we would like to try to address that.
And to be clear, one further situation, one significant difference between the farmland that we're leasing in White Spog is?
Ours is 3 acres encumbered for the most part.
Ours is public land.
So, we have to deal with green acres and the local land.
Well, I gave an example of White Spog as not so much ownership, but as the investment that people have to put in.
But that's
and
private
for when
land.
they realize it. And it's the same thing, I guess, with Wainwright or
basically
any
for the
other
states.
farmers. Should I buy a new combine this year if I'm not gonna have the same acreage next year?
We can just have
That's a
one,
joint.
So
we
we
can just
need to-
have one comment at a time. Okay, good. Go ahead, Freeholders.
That's it, I just wanna protect our farmers, which we all do.
Did you have an additional comment?
I have nothing.
Freeholder? Okay. All right, Deputy Director?
I have to agree wholeheartedly with Freeholder Donnelly. I think when you're taking a look at what the statutes are, when you're looking at public land, when you're looking at putting a bid out there for property, everyone does have a chance to bid on that property. I think when you also take a look at it, I think members of the board need to be consistent about saving taxpayers' money. In one hand, they want to save taxpayers' money on their vote earlier, but on this hand, they don't want to. And it seems that they'd like to pick and choose. And unfortunately, I don't really think that you can pick and choose. I just think we need to continue to follow the statute, put it out there, and see where it goes. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Director. This time, my remarks for this evening are kind of on a different note. First, thank you all for coming out, and secondly, I was able to attend the graduation ceremony of firefighters and EMTs for the fall class at our emergency center, our Emergency Training Service Center, ETSC, it is lovingly known. And so we had a very large class of EMTs and firefighters graduate. It was a very well-attended event, and there were also some meritorious citations given out. And I feel like it's important to mention here this evening a few of the recipients and what their service was to our community. One firefighter recipient, I believe from Florence, he was on a flight to Florida when a young child had a seizure, and no one on the flight staff was trained to deal with it, and when they asked for people who had emergency medical training to step forward. He was the only one who did. And he gave this youngster medical treatment until the plane could make an emergency landing, and he was able to transfer the child to the technicians waiting at the Jacksonville airport. Another notable a notable thing that last evening was every year the Moore family of Bordentown, who lost their son in Operation Enduring Freedom in Afghanistan, he was a firefighter before he deployed, and they have created a scholarship for the most improved firefighter in the Firefighter 1 class. And so this is the second year I've been witness to them giving a scholarship for the most improved firefighter in Firefighter 1 to go on and have money to enroll in another class and receive additional training in memory of their son. It was very moving. It was also very moving to hear how firefighters in Riverton responded to a house fire in 2014 and rescued a man and a woman from the fire who were trapped on the second story. And I think the most moving citation last evening was for an Evesham ENT who attended university in New England and volunteered to help at the finish line with runners finishing the Boston Marathon in 2013. And she was within a block and a half of the first blast. And when the blast occurred, she ran to it and treated victims of the blast and continued to treat them even after the second blast went off. And they said there's pictures of her on the news and on the internet of her treating critically wounded victims as it occurred. So it's one of the things as a freeholder you really enjoy being able to go and do and see how people give of themselves for their community and for their fellow man. So I just felt that was worth good news to pass on. And then we also, as a freeholder board, received a letter from Operation Yellow Ribbon of South Jersey. And it thanked us for our drive for care packages that we had as a county. And I know that BCT and other places we had donation receptacles, and we were able to send care packages off to the troops. And the Yellow Ribbon Club extended their thanks to us, and throughout 2013, all told, they shipped 33,000 pounds of goods to troops deployed overseas. And so if you're interested in supporting the Yellow Ribbon Club, you can go to their website, and you're able to register for email alerts for soldiers coming back in the Welcome Home celebration. So if you go to their website and you click on contact, you can go through and register, and you'll receive email alerts, and you'll be able to attend coming home. So just thank you to the Operation Yellow Ribbon and what they do, and how supportive they've been of us and being able to get that done this year with the troops. So thank you everyone for coming out on this cold night. And at this time, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any nays or abstentions? Okay. Have a good night.
Good night, guys.
Good night.
Joseph.
Charlie?